Oh, because Vi came down here. Oh, the juke! The juke! Oh my god, the Vel'koz, the outplay! Oh my god, look at that! Welcome back, everyone. Before we begin, I want to apologize for the lower audio quality. I'm in the process of moving out, and this is currently my setup. Please bear with me as I only have my headset for recording. For this month, we'll be taking a look at League of Legends, Season 12. Released in 2009, published and developed by Riot Games for the PC. This multiplayer online battle arena game, or MOBA for short, is still fun, but also frustrating to play. If you've been following my Rising from Iron series, then you know how easy this game is to play, but extremely difficult to master. Like most games, it's fun when you and your team are winning. However, there will be games where it doesn't matter how well you play. If your teammates are bad, and don't know the basic fundamentals of the game, it will be almost impossible to win. Overall, it is still a great free-to-play game that anyone with a computer can try out and play. It's still one of the most played games today. There is no single-player story or campaign. Instead, I'm going to tell you the story of my journey starting off at the bottom of Iron. So, spoiler warning for my Rising from Iron series. It's going to be a too long didn't watch summary. I don't blame you if you didn't watch it. It's like trying to watch an entire Critical Role campaign. It'll take you a couple of months to watch all of it. I'll also share any funny or awkward moments that happened to me during my playthrough. Let's go reach the rank of gold.
Here, let one more time, just to really embarrass me. Boom, level 3. Boom, E, then the W. And then I'm like, ah, crap.
First, some quick history. The first sort of MOBA actually started as far back as StarCraft 1. There was a modder called Aeon64 who made a custom map named Aeon of Strife. Players controlled a single powerful hero unit fighting along 3 lanes protected by defensive towers. The heroes didn't have powers, but instead collected gold to then spend on upgrades. The computer would control soldiers and have them run at the enemy. Years later, Warcraft 3 came out and modder Eul created a custom map based on Aeon of Strife, calling it Defense of the Ancients, or Dota for short. After Warcraft 3's expansion, The Frozen Throne, came out, another modder named Mian created a Dota map similar to the last one, but combined a lot of heroes that were being created from many different versions of Dota players. He named it Dota All-Stars. Most players played this version of Dota, and it was then inherited by a modder named Gunsu, who after a year maintaining the game, passed it on to Neace, who then turned it over to a modder named IceFrog. He made major changes to make the game more complex. It's believed all these changes IceFrog made peaked the player count to about 1 million players. With this many players playing a modded game within Warcraft 3 sparked many developers to make their own MOBAs. We had games like Demigod, Heroes of Newerth, Heroes of the Storm, Guardians of Middle-earth, Dawngate, Infinite Crisis, Arena of Fate, Gigantic, Master x Master, Paragon, and Smite. However, the 2 most popular MOBAs today are League of Legends and Dota 2. IceFrog was hired by Valve to develop Dota 2, while Gunsu was hired by Riot Games to develop League of Legends. Fun fact, Blizzard actually sued Valve over the name Dota. Let's move on to gameplay. The basics of League of Legends is this. You have 2 teams of 5 players. Your team will be the color blue and the enemy team will be the color red. Each team has a nexus. Whichever gets destroyed first, that team loses the game. Every 30 seconds, a wave of computer-controlled minions spawn from the nexus and travel down 3 separate lanes. These are known as top, middle, and bottom. It will always spawn 3 melee and 3 ranged minions. On every 3rd wave, an extra cannon minion will spawn. The minions will attack the closest enemy they come across. Your job is to push these waves to the enemy outer tower, inner tower, and inhibitor tower. Then you have this structure called an inhibitor. When this gets destroyed, super minions will begin to spawn. These are powerful minions that will always push the lane. Then you move on to destroy both nexus towers, and so long as at least one inhibitor is down, the nexus becomes vulnerable. The inhibitors will respawn after 5 minutes. And if you destroy all 3 inhibitors, 2 super minions will spawn in each wave. There's other areas on the map called the jungle. There are all kinds of different monsters to kill. Some give you buffs, like this red buff and this blue buff. There's also the dragon, that when killed gives your team a buff. And if you kill 4 dragons, you get a special buff for your team. Then the next dragon is an Elder Dragon, which gives you a timed buff to help you win teamfights easier. On the other side is the Rift Herald. When killed, it drops a giant eye that when picked up lets you spawn the Rift Herald anywhere on the map. It'll run to the nearest lane and make its way downtown, walking fast, to a tower and crash into it. At 15 minutes, Baron will spawn, and when that's killed, your team gets a timed buff to buff nearby allied minions, which helps greatly at pushing lanes. Each player controls a champion. Most champions have a passive ability, 3 normal abilities, and an ultimate ability at level 6. As you kill minions and monsters, or at least be nearby as minions die, you'll collect experience and level up to a max of 18. You can select which abilities to unlock at levels 1, 2, and 3. After that, you decide which abilities to upgrade to a max of 5. Your ultimate can be upgraded at level 11 and 16. Some champions fit different archetypes, like a mage, tank, marksman, bruiser, or assassin to name a few. In most of your games, you will have someone go top, jungle, middle, and 2 in the bottom lane. Since this season I was mainly in the top lane, I'm going to focus up here. When you start the game, you'll pick some items to get you started. Then run to your lane and wait for minions. You'll be focused on last hitting minions because that's how you collect gold. Of course, there will be an enemy in your lane, and you're going to need to know how well your champion can stand against them. First basic fundamental about League is someone is going to win the lane advantage. This simply means the wave is going to push towards a tower. As your wave slow pushes to the enemy tower, you may look to trade with your opponent to keep them off of your wave. Keep in mind, if you hit an enemy near their minions, the minions will start to attack you. In the early levels, this will hurt a lot, so run away or run into the bush to drop aggro. Once it crashes on the tower, look to recall, or if you're still healthy, let it push back to you. If you can safely farm minions, then do so. But if the enemy wants to fight, it's usually best to back off and wait for it to get to your tower. There's still so much to explain, but I don't want this section to become a guide. So check out Skill Cap. That's where I learned terms like cheater recall or the even minion rule. They will teach you what to focus on during each stage of the game, from early, mid, to late game. Sadly, this video isn't sponsored by them, but I will give them credit. They said I should hit Silver 1 in 5 months. However, technically I did not hit Silver 1 in 5 months, but I did hit Gold by the end of the season. So their videos do help you improve at League. Anyway, let's get on with my journey to Gold. The very first episode is completely different from the last episode. Originally I thought showing replays was a better idea for me and the viewer to see the bigger picture of things. Being able to see myself, my team, and the enemy team could show valuable information. However, at the time, each episode was only 1 game per week. There was little chance I would have gotten to Gold within a year if I only played 1 ranked game per week, unless I was godlike. I also thought Zed would be perfect to match my name Shadow, as well as having Pantheon as my backup. However, I would struggle to figure out how to play both of these champions well. Like anything, with more practice, I'm sure I would have made it work, but I needed to pick an easier champion to practice the basic fundamentals. So in this first episode, you will see so many mistakes, and I call all of them out. I hadn't played rank since Season 7, and only made it to Silver 2. Season 6, I was Silver 3. Season 5, I was able to hit Gold 5, and Season 4 was only Silver 2. I mainly only played blind pick with friends. Ranked was too stressful for me, and in the first couple of weeks, I felt the stress. The pressure was getting to me before the match even started. I felt cold and would start shivering. I guess I kept worrying about wanting to play good and not be that guy who feeds the enemy team. So first bit of advice to new players is just play ranked until you get comfortable with playing ranked. There's not much else you can really do about it except get used to it. You're going to play bad early on, no matter how many YouTube videos you watch on how to play better. It's important to make mistakes, and you learn what didn't work. I know I learned a lot from my first game. I would suggest turning off all chat, including your teammates. In low elo, you know you don't know how to play this game well, which means your teammates are also around your skill level, which means they're just as bad as you. So most likely their advice is bad advice. Instead, just look for lanes to farm in and push safely.
That definitely blows my mind. because I did not feel like we deserved that.
When Zed wasn't going to work, I tried switching to Victor for a couple of games, but I didn't understand why Skillcap thought Victor was OP at the time. He honestly wasn't that great of a champion, unless he was fed, but that goes for any champion. So I made the choice to switch from mid lane to top lane. From there, I figured Shen would be a safe pick and can help out teammates with his powerful ultimate. While Shen is a good champion, I simply didn't like how weak his dueling power and wave clear was. Again, maybe I didn't give him enough of a chance and other Shen mains out there could prove me wrong, but after a couple of games, I didn't feel like he was the champion for me. I do want to give a shout out to God Shen. It was around this time I was looking at Shen players on YouTube and got most of my advice on how to play better with Shen, as well as how to play against specific top laners. Check out his content in the description if you want to learn and play better with Shen.
Last time I looked, I think I sidestepped here thinking I got around the cannon minion. I didn't. So now I'm leading the pack. But I'm looking over here. So when I see Hecarim's close to dying, I'm like, I better ult Hecarim, because I don't want him to die. But unfortunately, I'm taking tower shots.
Like I said, in this low elo of Iron and Bronze, it's actually best to pick someone who's really good on their own. Starting in episode 8, I decided to switch to Yorick. He had great poke with his E and ghouls, as well as his pushing power at level 6. In Bronze, I found a lot of success with him. For players in Bronze, the key thing to practice is farming. Don't worry so much about trading with your opponent or trying to roam or even counter jungle. Just focus on slow pushing the wave to the enemy tower and then either recall, or if you're still healthy, just let the wave push back to you and grab what farm you can without trading with your opponent. Most people in this elo don't know about basic fundamentals. Waves will constantly push to one tower and then slow push back to the other tower. It's up to you to last hit and build up a wave to then crash on the enemy tower. If the enemy tries farming as you're pushing to their tower, you need to trade and keep them off of your minions. Granted, all of this depends on the matchup. Sometimes there's champions like Riven or Set that want to fight you no matter what the state of the minion wave. All you can do is let them keep pushing the wave and just farm the best you can and hope your jungler or mid laner will come up for a gank since they'll be overextended. In episode 13 is when I decided to switch to the live commentary. It was becoming difficult to play a match, then rewatch it, and record my commentary on that game. The other reason was because I knew I would need to play a lot more games if I wanted to rank up faster. Using my original method would have overloaded me and taken up way too much time. So it was for the best to just record myself live. The downside is I find myself talking a lot less and just complaining about everything. Mainly because I get so focused on what I need to do. Yorick continued to be a solid pick, and I even got a pentakill in one game. Because of that, it pushed me up 2 whole divisions.
That was incredible. And then almost got him. But nope, still got him. Then Thresh is trying to keep me there, but I just Q him, get a double kill. The rest of their team come running in. But I decided, well, let's go on him. Trap him, get a triple kill. Get the quadra. And then, oh boy, come here, Teemo. Come here, Teemo. Pentakill!
At episode 17, I started to play even more matches. Soon I was running into what felt like Smurf accounts. People who clearly knew how to play League really well, but didn't belong in this low elo. I tried other champions like Mord, Jarvan, or Gangplank, but that didn't go so well. I then tried to go back to Shen and Yorick, but I felt lost. I kept losing games. The basic fundamentals were lost to me. My teammates were bad, while the enemy team seemed to have a better understanding of the game. I felt it was time for a change again. Episode 20 is when things changed. Garen was a champion with a simple kit. I began to see how powerful he is, and if I play him right, I could win lane.
Oh my god. I did not think I was going to win that.
Then go on to split push for my team to confuse the enemy. As I got better with Garen, I started to notice I would win 3 games, then usually lose 2 games, but then win 3 games again, but then lose usually around 2 games again. It was almost as if the game would give me bad teammates or smurf enemies to play against when I won too many games. There was at one point I won 7 games in a row, but then proceeded to lose 6 games. The rank system they have seemed to make sure your win percentage stays close to 50%. The worst game I ever had was against a Draven. If you watch the match, it's clear they were smurfs based on their behavior and even a tower dive, which rarely happened in low elo unless the laner and the jungler were duoing. I could not do anything against Draven, and he did so much damage and had stupid range. Even under tower, he could still poke at me and my tower wouldn't hit him back. Lucky for me, this was the only time someone picked Draven in the top lane. Some games felt like a good even match, but my team would give up, like this Draven did, and decided to waste time in base in hopes the game would end faster. There's just not much you can do about it except keep playing to the best of your ability until the very end and hope for a better game next time. Best case scenario, your laner lets you freeze the wave in front of your tower. This allows you to safely farm minions close to your tower. However, despite having an awesome laning phase, you can still lose the game because your team is bad. It's going to happen, so once again, learn what you did right and what you can do to improve and bring that into your next game. Then you'll have annoying games where you'll lose lane to bullshit close fights like f***ing Kled players. Seriously, that champion.
Are you serious? I thought I had more than enough damage. That's crazy.
But at least your team will do well and you'll still get a free win. The sooner you just accept you're gonna have these types of games and focus on what you learned and the champion you played against, I think you'll do just fine. If you lost badly to a champion, watch other players playing your champion against that specific matchup and see what they do differently. Maybe they needed to use a different rune page or a different playstyle. Sometimes it might be a counter matchup and the only thing you can do is farm minions and wait until the mid to late game to fight them. Also, be careful what keys you press. You might accidentally bring up another tab. Also in that game, I got Rift Herald and was able to get an inner tower, inhibitor, and a Nexus tower. Woohoo! I've also learned not to rely on your jungler for help, no matter how easy you bait out a gank. You also should check your map often. Like here, twice, I didn't see my Shaco coming in for a gank. The first time worked out, but the second time, if I was paying attention, I would have stopped Kench from escaping. I also want to go over champion knowledge. The best example I can give you is back in episode 21 when I first played against Lilia, I didn't know what her abilities were. I just assumed she was a counter to Garen. Every time I tried to go in on her, she was somehow faster than me and always hit me with her circle and did stupid amounts of damage.
I don't get this game anymore.
Fast forward to my last game of the season, I had to face Lilia. It started off rough with her usual poking. I figured my best chance was just to all in her.
Yes! Thank you.
It was still a back and forth lane, but at least I learned I could stand a chance against her now that I understood her abilities. The main thing that I learned was her passive is every time she hits an enemy champion with an ability, she gains movement speed. So mainly I had to wait for her passive to fall off, and then that was my best chance to go in on her, especially if she missed an ability. Bottom line, you just need to keep playing and learn what you need to do in order to deal with the champion in your lane. I want to point out the rare time I was winning my lane but had a bad team. Don't listen to anyone that says it's possible to carry any losing team. It won't be because of you, but rather the enemy team making mistakes and throwing their lead. Your team will have a chance at a comeback, assuming they haven't voted to surrender by then. I was doing well against Illaoi. I killed her twice in lane. I even had to deal with severe lag.
Oh my god, this lag. Dude, I'm like a freaking bot.
At the 19-minute mark, my team was dying more than they had kills, except for me. The only thing I could honestly do was just farm as much as possible and push lanes. If there was a fight, I might run over and see if I could get the kill. If the fight looked bad, I just stayed in lane and kept pushing it forward. By 25 minutes, I was 9-1, while the enemy just kept growing their lead. Watching my teammates literally die around me was not very inspiring. But since winning team fights didn't seem possible anymore, the only thing I could do was split push. Push the lane, then run away if the enemy was coming, or look for a fight that was winnable. The best and worst feeling is getting your last item in a potion. Sure, it's great, I'm at my most powerful, but it means I can't get any stronger from here on out, and the enemy team are getting stronger the longer the game goes on. Despite the enemy team having Dragon Soul, we were able to get an Elder Dragon and a Baron. Once again, split push to divide the enemy, and pick the fights you know you can win. Teams in this elo just don't know what to do against a strong split pusher like Garen. I even had this close call. This was a close game and could have gone either way. But again, I really think it wasn't because I was able to carry my team, it was because the enemy was making bad decisions. I could go on and talk about every match, but I would just be repeating myself at this point. Overall, it was tough getting to gold, but I'm glad it worked out in the end, and I was able to obtain it just a month before the season was over.
Yes! There we go, we made it to gold, boys.
In conclusion, League of Legends is still a fun game. It's easy to play, but difficult to master. Overall, this was a fun experiment to see if I had what it takes to learn and become a better League player. I know gold isn't that impressive to most players, but there are a lot of players out there that are still stuck in bronze and silver and have never made it to gold. I hope this series will at least show them it is possible to get to gold if they take the time to learn from free YouTube videos like Skillcapped and Neace. You don't need to pay to subscribe to any of these websites to get better at the game. And for God's sakes, don't pay hundreds of dollars for coaching. I really don't understand why people are giving large amounts of money to people like Neace just to get yelled at by him.
Get your camera out and then you would know! Look, because you're in lock screen, you can't see, so move your camera to the right so we can see if there's a plant. Pick a choice! Go or leave! They give you more gold than rotating! You get more XP! Why the f am I here?
There's plenty of free YouTube videos out there to explain what you should be aiming for. Save your money and just play this free-to-play game, or spend that money on cool-looking skins. It's up to you. Learn what works and what doesn't. But most importantly, have fun and make friends. Like me and Godshen, who did some fun messing around in normals, trying out our champions in different roles and trying out other champions.
Oh!
I'm okay.
Oh, no. We're good, folks. She's got a phase rush?
Nice.
As of right now, I don't plan on doing another series like Journey to Platinum, but I might just keep Shen Garanans going with Godshen. Next month, I will review 2 video games. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to help grow my channel, and comment below on what you thought. Also check out my other videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.